Welcome to Two Balls and a Mic. We are here once again with a very special interview. This time, another San Diego Wave player. She is also a local San Diegan, former captain of the Stanford soccer team. We're going to get right into it. Please welcome Sierra Enge. Sierra, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you, guys. I'm super excited to be here.
Appreciate your time. It's always a pleasure to be able to speak to players, especially during the season. So we're really appreciative of your time, especially as things are going to probably kick off pretty soon with some very interesting matchups coming up. Challenge Cup already, the
Yeah,
NWSL season is in season. So just to get right into it, how have you been feeling these last couple of weeks now that we're in season? Training, has it ramped up? How has that been for you?
it's honestly just been really fun. I think it's such an interesting learning experience and something that's so different from, what you experience in college because it's a longer season and you're playing different opponents. So it's just been really great. It's been great for me to learn. I really enjoyed our preseason with the Wave. I just felt like we got a lot of games in, and so we grew a lot as a team. And then now we're just in a different phase where we're playing real games that matter. So far, we have 2 wins, so it's been a great start.
Yeah, and obviously, want to kind of touch back, right? You grew up here in San Diego, and I mean, you played in the youth levels with LA Galaxy San Diego and SoCal Blues. We know Sal Zizzo, who's coaching for SoCal Blues right now, former loyal player. So that's
Oh,
amazing. Can you tell us
cool.
about how have you seen the community, soccer community grow here in San Diego since you were growing up to what it is now?
Yeah, I think it's been really awesome to see. I mean, even growing up, San Diego has always been a soccer city, I think. We have so many youth clubs in the area, and um, Southern California in general is just a hub of youth sports, especially soccer. So it's been really exciting. I loved growing up in this area because I felt like we had the best competition, and every weekend I was playing against some of the top players in the US. And then to see it grow now has just been incredible. I think there's more teams coming or up in the area, programs growing, and then also just to see the way that people have rallied around and supported the Wave has been awesome. And I'm just super grateful that I've been able to see that growth both as, a player in the youth program and then now as a professional player with the Wave.
So what was that come up, especially here in San Diego, right? Like I have a different perspective having played in Tijuana and coming over here where there's a culture
Mhm.
already there. But much like I see players now, just the youth coming up and I see them doing skills that, you know, professionals are barely mastering, that just the level is incredible right now. Do you see that same thing with the sports here in San Diego with the youth organizations where like the talent is just, growing as it goes?
Yeah, I mean, I think every older player always looks back and looks at these younger players and thinks, "Wow, they're so much better than I was at that age."
Hmm.
I think it's awesome to see. I think social media also plays a huge role in that, just because all these young players are able to watch different skills and watch things that people didn't necessarily have access to even just a few years back. So it's been super exciting to watch. I love that there's these 12 and 13-year-old girls who are performing these insane skills with the ball that I don't even do to this day. So it's pretty cool to see.
And I mean, you got teammate now that came out exactly from that. Barcenas now signed for the
Hmm.
San Diego Wave. And I mean, what is it like being part of this new generation of local players? Is that something that you and her go back and forth, or is it a point of pride to be like, hey, let me show you around, teammates? Like this is where we're from. Like let's go. Let's show you the local taco spots.
It's totally a point of pride. I think, I'm so grateful that I'm back in San Diego. I think it's one of the best places in the world. And so to be able to play for my hometown is something that's super special. And it's definitely something that I didn't always think was a possibility. This team is obviously new. And so I think it's just really exciting to see opportunities pop up for young girls in San Diego and for them to realize that, you can play for your hometown and these are these things that you can inspire to do. And Mel is a great example of that.
And then you go playing in high school as well, and you overcome an injury there. But you go also to play in Stanford, who's known to be a very competitive soccer team as well. So tell us about that experience transition from high school to college.
Yeah, it was a big transition. I was playing with the SoCal Blues my senior year in high school. I was hurt for a little bit, so I played kind of the end of my senior season with the Blues, which was great because I was playing with players that have had super successful collegiate careers and have gone on to have really successful pro careers, which is awesome. So I felt like I was challenged pretty well in high school, but there was still a significant jump to the college game. It's just physical, it's faster. You're playing with older players, which I hadn't done a ton of as a youth player. And so it definitely took me some time to adjust. I was not one of those players who came in as a freshman and started right away. I had to work for it and get a lot better and work really hard my freshman year. And I loved it. I think Stanford was an incredible place, and I developed so much as a person and a player there. So I'm so grateful for the experience. But yeah, I loved my time there.
I mean, and that's part of the story, right? The Sierra story is Stanford and what that means, not only as a sporting institution, but an academic institution, right? Like
Hmm.
you got some backing, some degreeage, and you are a studious one. Could you just kind of give a brief overview of bachelor's and then master's and kind of what that is and what the plan was, the idea was with that as well?
Yeah, I mean, school's always been super important to me. It's something that I loved from a young age, which is why I really wanted to go to Stanford because I felt like I could kind of have the best of both worlds in the classroom and on the soccer field. And so I went into Stanford knowing that I wanted to make the most of my experience. So I kind of reached out to professors, asked a lot of questions in class, and then ended up coming kind of stumbling upon this major that I really loved. So I did my undergrad in science, technology, and society, which is for people that go to Stanford definitely know it. Other people have no idea what it means.
It's the big three
Uh,
over there.
yeah, so it was basically super interdisciplinary, but it was a humanities major, and my focus was innovation and organization. So I tell people that I focused on business with some creativity in there. So looking at the way organizations were run and how to develop creativity and free flowing ideas within organizations. So I loved that, loved the classes that I got to take. And then I actually redshirted my freshman year of college. So I had a fifth year on the team when I was a freshman who pulled me aside when I was redshirting, when I found out I was redshirting early in this season. And she said, if you're going to redshirt and you're going to take 5 years here, you should make it worth it. And you should plan to get a master's right now. And so I'm so grateful for, I don't even know if she remembers that she told me that, but this has been so impactful in my life. And so from basically my freshman year, I was like, all right, I'm going to make the most of this experience and I'm going to stay and play 5 years and I'm going to get my master's too. So I kind of planned ahead so that I could graduate a little early so I could go play pro, but I got my master's in communications.
That is a huge achievement. Congratulations on
That
that.
is so. I mean,
Thank
I'm
you.
just curious. Was playing at the pro level always a dream? Besides, obviously, getting your degrees, and then so was that always a dream when you were a little girl?
And what makes you prouder? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, because
for
that's
reals.
pro player, but
Masters at
masters.
from Stanford.
Yeah. I guess to go along with the dream question, when I was growing up as a little girl, I didn't really there wasn't really a league around. There were these leagues that folded early on, but no one was really paying attention or watching them. So I grew up watching the US national team, which was awesome, and super motivating. I kind of always dreamed of playing on that team. And then once I kind of got a little bit older into high school and then into college, I really saw, the NWSL becoming this reality. And so as a freshman in college, I was like, I'm going to graduate and put myself in a position to be able to play professionally. And it was always a dream of mine. I didn't know, where I was going to end up, but it was definitely something that I wanted to do. And it kind of formed more and more as a tangible dream as I got into college. And then I guess in terms of proud of, I mean, I don't know. I can't I can't decide. I think, I'm really excited for the opportunity to be able to play professional soccer, but I'm super proud of the work that I did in the classroom as well, and I want to continue that even while I'm playing professionally, and hopefully have a successful career after playing soccer as well.
Oh, absolutely, and that's a huge part of it. Something that stuck with me the first time I ever met Alex Morgan during the crest reveal was that we asked her like, "Hey, what's the message for high school or college athletes coming up?" And she literally said like, "It might not be for everybody. Like soccer is not
Hmm.
the end all be all." And so that's a message I took back and just seeing not even a backup plan, but just having a solid plan moving forward. I know you're a huge proponent of mental health, and that's something that you're
Mhm.
championing, moving forward as well. And so, it's a huge resource to be able to have that. Is that something that at San Diego Wave it's focused on? Is that something that's spoken about? What are the amenities in such a way of a professional soccer team here in the U.S.?
Yeah, it's definitely something that we talk about a lot. I think at Wave, we're really fortunate because we have a sports psychologist that works really closely with the team, which is incredible. She's at the facilities with us every day and definitely a resource that I don't take for granted. And I'm super grateful to have. So she's awesome in terms of, just as you said, mental health is so important. She's incredible in supporting that for us as players. And then we also have some people on staff who are really just um, who work for the players and are there to help support us. And so they can help us with opportunities off the field, which is so important and definitely something that we talk about because, um, yes, obviously we love playing soccer, but it can't be the only thing that you do or you'll drive yourself crazy. So we definitely talk a lot about how can I invest in myself and how can I, create myself, Sierra Engie, not just being a soccer player, but being, someone who's interested in a lot of different things and just being a diverse and curious person.
I love that.
Yeah, so you get drafted into the NWSL, and it's the NW San Diego Wave. You're coming back home. Uh, Obviously, I imagine it could be a little nerve wracking coming into a brand new team, but you also have familiar faces with Naomi Girma, who was your teammate at Stanford. What was that like? First
Hmm.
interaction coming back to San Diego and seeing her.
Double high fives.
It was incredible. I remember so well when the San Diego Wave announced, that they were going to be a team, and there was, the two expansion teams, and when it kind of came down to the end, I was like, Naomi, you really could end up in San Diego. Like, how awesome would that be? Because she's from the Bay Area, so at Stanford, we would go to her house a lot, and we would go for Thanksgiving most years. And so I was like, oh my gosh, if you're in San Diego, you can roles reversed. You can go over to my house. And so I was always jealous because she'd be over at my parents' house for dinner and I was up at school and I was like, I wish I could be there. So then, the draft comes around this year and I really didn't know where I was going to end up. I was always hoping for San Diego, but I wasn't sure. And then when it became a reality, I think we both kind of she was actually with the national team at camp, but she was FaceTiming me. And I remember us just being like, how did this happen? But so grateful that it did.
That's wonderful. I mean, the storylines too in this league, when yeah, there's rivalries, but there's also so much friendship and camaraderie, and it's wonderful to
Hmm.
see. Actually, some of the sirens over in the Cove had a kind of question about that, and I call it the Hella versus Hecka debate, right? SoCal versus no North
Yeah.
Cal. So that's actually a perfect transition with Naomi too. So. Um, what was it like being a SoCal individual going up to NorCal and just being part of that community? And is it really all that different? And are we really that much better? Is my better question.
We are that much better.
That's what I like to guess,
I would
right?
have to say. No, I mean, honestly, California is so big. I think it is different. It's just, there's a little bit of a different climate. It feels, there's a different, vibe to it, I would say. People behave and interact just slightly differently. Nothing too crazy, but I really missed the beaches, and I love the food here in San Diego. So I would have to say that Southern California beats Northern California out, but I'm not sure everyone, especially maybe Naomi, would agree with me on that one.
It's going to take a matter of months at this point just to convert her. Be like, you know what? Yeah, no, SoCal is where it's at. What's a favorite restaurant to take somebody to? Just be like, hey, this is San Diego. This is what we have to offer.
Oh, that's such a good question. I always go to the taco stand. I don't know if you guys, I'm
Okay,
sure you
no,
guys probably get
excellent.
that a lot, but Al Pastor taco I think is the best. So anytime people come, I'm like, all right, we got to go get good Mexican food.
Yeah, that good Mexican food doesn't exist above Oceanside for some strange reason. It just doesn't translate. I don't know. I don't know. We got it here in San
Yeah.
Diego. Um,
But yeah, so a lot of our viewers and listeners always like to know when we have players over, like what their play style is. And with preseason matches for Wave not really being accessible to a lot of to the public, but
Hmm.
can you tell us a little bit about what can fans expect to see when you eventually get minutes for whether it's from the Challenge Cup or in the NWSL as well?
Yeah, I've been playing a little bit of center back and a little bit of defensive midfield. So I think for me, my game is really, being composed on the ball. I like to be a playmaker. I like the ball at my feet, and I like to find good passes that can help us get up the field. I think I'm pretty calm on the ball, and I pick out good passes well. So I think I move the ball around the fields really well. And then defensively, just kind of like being in the right spots. I like being in control, so I kinda try to get myself in the right spots early as possible. But I really think I'm just a calm, composed, and consistent player.
And from what we know, speaking with Casey's Tony, is that she's very straightforward with her players as well. Is that a conversation she had with you, telling you, "Hey, we might use you more on the defensive role this season"?
Yeah, I mean, Casey, it's been incredible just to be under her, for the past, couple months. I've learned so much already, and I think she's really good at being direct and having, conversations so that people know where they're at. For me, I can play multiple positions, and that's something that Wave was looking for in the draft, and so, she was straight up in terms of the fact that there's gonna be players gone this year because it's a World Cup year, and she's just kind of wants me to be able to step in where I can and have an impact however I can.
And I mean, in true fashion of a Stanford alum at this point, correct me if I'm wrong, but I have just an image here um, of a list of things to work on and some strengths and weaknesses. Is it something that you came up with? Somebody came up with you, or could you just take me through this list of strengths and weaknesses on the center back position and the center mid position?
Yeah, that's funny. You did your homework. You did your research.
Absolutely.
I
We
was,
always do,
yeah,
yeah.
giving a presentation to my high school that I went to not too long ago and put that one up there. Yeah, so I am trying to remember the exact backstory, but I think I was at a youth national team camp when I was young, so like U14, and they put up the kind of they have you I don't know if they still do it at the younger age groups, but they have a list of like, okay, if this is the position that you play, like these should be the things that you're really good at. Kind of like this is the
Hmm.
profile of a center back, this is the profile of a center forward. And so I went through, I was home. I wasn't with anyone else, but I kind of went through that list and I was like, okay, what on here am I good at? What am I on here do I need to work on? And then I think knowing me, I probably added a few things onto that list because it's a little bit long on both sides. But yes, I definitely kind of modeled it from what we got within the national team.
Oh, that's awesome, man. I mean, you go and you see Snapdragon packed for the first time. Obviously, I want to know your initial reaction, but have you also envisioned what your first start at Snapdragon will look and feel like for yourself?
Yeah, I think our first game was so special. To have so many fans there to support us was really incredible, and I just remember running out on the field for the first time with that many fans there, just kind of taking a moment and realizing how cool this is and how incredible it is that my family gets to be in the stands right there. And it just took 20 minutes for them to get there. And so it was just pretty surreal, honestly. And it was a moment that I just kind of wanted to let sink in. And I'm just excited, for whenever I can make my first appearance. I think it's going to be fun to just our fans are the best fans in the NWSL. They are so loud um and cheer really well. And as I've talked about with a couple other teammates, they cheer for the defenders too, which is which is rare sometimes. They cheer for good blocks and good tackles and
Yeah.
that kind of stuff. So I'm just really excited for when I can make my first minutes.
Intelligent soccer fans here in San Diego. Gio?
Absolutely, and we know we know the NWSL is a very competitive league, but right across the border, we also have another competitive league with Liga MX Femenil,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
you all got to scrimmage Cholas behind closed doors,
Hmm.
obviously. But can you tell us about that experience about playing a team from another country as well, like Cholas
Sources say that you played as a
Hmm.
six
in that
a
game?
little
Yeah.
bit in that game. So, again, we do our research.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are prepared. Yeah, I think it's awesome. I mean, I am really grateful that I got to grow up in San Diego because I think that you just gain a different perspective on what it's like to just intermix between different cultures and different countries. Like people kind of think it's crazy that I could say that my high school we would drive across the border and go do things in Tijuana, and it was totally normal. And so I think that I'm really fortunate for those experiences, and I am really glad that we got to experience playing a team from Mexico, and just being able to chat with them after the game was super fun. I think women's sports are awesome because people want to support each other, and so it was fun to just, get a little bit of a different game in, to be able to meet some of the players, to learn a little bit more about what their league is like, and just gain some perspective is awesome.
No, that is a unique opportunity that,
Mhm.
only if you're from San Diego you can really get that experience of doing on a day-to-day basis. Is just that cross-border connection, and I'm sure, players from over down south also come and play here and just have,
Mhm.
tournaments. So that's it's a hodgepodge, a talent hot lava, as it was described for a baseball team at some point here. But no, it's wonderful to have you here. And I mean, where do you draw your inspiration? I mean, where does, this impetus to, be better than Sierra Engie of yesterday come from?
Mhm.
Like, is that something that you were brought up with? Is that something that is just self-taught, self-motivation?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. Both my parents were athletes, and played sports in college, and so Um, I think I learned a lot from them, just about how important it is to work hard. I also think that my experiences as a soccer player have really taught me that. I don't think there's many environments that I've walked into where I've just been the best player right away. I really had to work for it. And so I think by having those experiences, um, I just grew as a person and realized that if this is something I want to do, I really need to be getting better every day and learning every day. And so I think, it's a little bit of both, but I'm super grateful for my parents, and also my siblings. I have three siblings and one of them's an older brother. So always challenging me, and lots of competition within the family. So that also helped.
I mean, and that's something that, you can't really get anywhere else, right? If you have professional athletes as family members, like, I mean, it's gonna be not necessarily easier, it might be even tougher in a lot of ways, right? And you spoke on, coming in and you just coming back as number one. I heard you on an interview talk about moving into Stanford, right, where you're used to
Mhm.
being the elite of the elite in many ways, but then you join a group of elites up there in academics and in sports, and it's just starting from zero in a sense. Is that kind of what you got here at San Diego Wave with so much talent, or is this just a different type of experience?
Yeah, I think it's similar. I think having that experience at Stanford has prepared me a lot more for this experience, and so I feel like I'm in a much better spot. But I do think that, there is a jump every time you move up a level. There's a transition and there's a learning curve. And I'm just really grateful that I have such incredible teammates, and then we have a really good staff at Wave who's helped make that transition as smooth as possible.
No, that's wonderful. And just to kind of wrap up here, just have a couple of questions. Is as far as your playing career, if you can bring back a pair of boots that are your favorite, your absolute favorite of all time, and you can have
Oh
those
yeah.
forever, what are those pair of boots for you?
Oh, okay. I think it was probably 2 years ago, maybe, yeah, 2 years ago. They had, the all white Tiempos, and they kind of had a little, like, texture to the top of the cleat. I'm not sure exactly what number they were. Uh, yeah, Nike Tiempo 8, those
Yeah, the
ones.
eights.
Those are my favorite.
Ooh, nice.
I really
Nice one.
don't think I can pull off black cleats, so I love white cleats. I wear them pretty much exclusively, but I loved those fit so well. I wore them for as long as I could, and they unfortunately discontinued them, I think, so haven't gotten a pair of those in a little while.
Well, let's start scouring the stores here. We can probably find some. Another just quick question is, I know you're into reading books, murder mysteries. What's something
Mhm.
that you're reading on right now in the Sierra Ng book club?
Oh, yeah. Also a good question. I'm so bad with the names of books, so I might forget it, but I think I'm reading this book called The Perfect Couple. And yeah, it's funny that I I did say that I like reading murder mysteries, because this book that I just read was kind of about this couple who steals the identity of another couple, and there's some murders involved. So I guess it's on brand for what I read.
I love that. And then just final question here. If you were to talk to Sierra Enge from 5 years in the future, what do you hope that Sierra is going to be when, you see yourself here talking to your former high school, just the kids over there and just being a inspiration altogether for not just little girls here in San Diego, but just people in general, again, championing mental health and all that. What's a message that you would want to make sure that future Sierra is very well aware of?
Yeah, I think just what you said is, as a professional athlete, especially in San Diego, we have such a unique platform to be able to impact others. And so I think looking 5 years in the future, I really hope that that's something that I can do, that I can have an impact on the people in my life, and that I can impact this community. And I would love, to be able to stay in San Diego for as long as I can, and have a great career here.
Love that, Sierra. Thank you for your time again. Valuable time during the season. I really appreciate you coming on. And who would you recommend to come on to do two balls and a mic? And who do we need to know more about? I know we already have Lauren Brisky come on. We have
Yeah.
Sierra. Who do you nominate next?
I mean, I would say Mel. Get the youth of San Diego
All
on
right.
the podcast. But yeah, I think she would be great to be on here.
Perfect. And
Awesome.
with that, we'll go ahead and let you go. We'll stick around real quick in the Zoom, but thank you again for your time. We'll see you out there at Snapdragon.